Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life is wrestling.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Wrestling is Life is Wrestling with Cody Deaner. I am Cody Deaner, and I am a professional wrestler. I'm a professional wrestling producer. I am also a professional speaker and a professional dad, a father to 4 kids, and a husband to one beautiful and amazing wife. And this is my podcast. We're switching it up today, guys. For those of you that have been following my new format for this show, I have been picking themes and sitting down for shorter conversations with people. And we're switching it up today, and we're going to go back to the old format because I've had this awesome conversation with my good buddy, TJ Harley. Some will know him as TJ Harley. Others will know him as Good Thelonious on Instagram, or Thelonious Jovinius Harlequin, who's out in BC, used to wrestle a lot in Ontario as TJ Harley. He's just my good friend, and I've known him for many years, and we had this conversation about a year ago, maybe even over a year ago now. It's been sitting in the bank, and for a variety of different reasons, it's just been sitting there. And then I changed to the new format, and I haven't released this interview yet. Now is the time. I want everyone to learn not just about how amazing Thelonious is, but how awesome of a person my friend TJ is, and you're going to get that in today's conversation. Before we jump into the episode, I think it's maybe timely for me to talk about someone and something that I haven't brought up on this podcast before. I brought it up on my social media at Cody Deaner, but I just want to talk about my new favorite wrestler. He is the hometown man in TNA wrestling. I've been having so many people asking me or assuming that the hometown man is actually me. And it's kind of throwing me off. I'm getting messages from people telling me how awesome the hometown man is, but they're saying that I'm awesome. And it's like, I got to tell these people, like, I agree with you. I think he's awesome, but I mean, he's not me. He's the hometown man. We are not one and the same. But I do want to promote him and a t-shirt that he has. Go to tnawrestling.com. You can learn about the hometown man, or go to tnamerch.com. I'll put a link in the show notes, and you can get the brand new hometown man t-shirt. It's up on TNA merch. I got myself one. You should too. I think you need to support my new favorite wrestler. He's awesome. He is the hometown man, and I can't get this guy's damn theme song out of my head. It's so sweet. It's so awesome. It's so catchy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube. Just type in hometown man TNA wrestling, and I'll challenge you right now. Listen to that song and try to not get it stuck in your head. You will lose that challenge, I'll tell you right now. So support my new favorite wrestler, hometown man. I've actually been in conversations with the guy. He's having so much fun. He's loving wrestling. And I wish I could say the same for myself. Actually, I can. I can say the exact same thing for myself. I love professional wrestling. One of the things that I love about it is that wrestling is life is wrestling. So you can support me by going to all my social media, take a screenshot of yourself, listen to this show right now, upload it, tell everybody that you love Wrestling is Life is Wrestling and that you learned something today, and go support Good Thelonious. It's at Good Thelonious. That's GOODTHELONIOUS. And you will see some amazing content, including some magical mittens. What am I talking about? Good Thelonious and magical mittens? Hey, that's a teaser. You go to his social media, you follow him, and you'll learn all about this fifth dimension and these great magical mittens. But let's jump into part 1 of this conversation with my good friend, Thelonious. And to me, he's just my buddy, TJ. Enjoy the conversation, guys. All right, TJ. How's it going, brother?
Hi, lovely. Thanks. Appreciate you having me.
Hey man,
Pretty, pretty amazing.
of course, I have like a short list of people that are people that I love dearly in professional wrestling that are very close friends that I'm making sure that I get on the show. And it was time for one of those people who I love very much in TJ Harley to be on the show. No longer wrestling as TJ Harley, but you will always be TJ Harley in my heart. So that's how I'm going to refer for you throughout this
I
entire show.
appreciate that. I'm still TJ to most people, and I mean, I tried my best with my new moniker and my new production of things to keep the same flow of
Mhm.
whatnot, and I was successful in that in Thelonious Jovinius Harlequin. That's a soft J.
Yeah.
Um, in what that became. So it's yeah. Thanks very much. And I'm not exactly a household name to those out there, so it may be a surprise to some people, or just like a who is that to other people. So hopefully I can kind of just use this opportunity to express and share. I think.
Yeah, man. Well, like I'm it's interesting that you say that because I mean, obviously that goes into my mind when I'm putting on a show. And I had a couple guys reach out to me and a couple guys that I reached out to like a year ago. I'm almost at a year now. And there was a couple guys I'm like, hey, hold off. Let me try to grow this thing first. And I'll have guys on TV first. And then, but my goal, my kind of underground, which I've never shared publicly, but I'm sharing now because you brought it up. My kind of my secret plan was let me try to grow something that has an audience, and then I can start bringing on people, my short list of people that I love that I feel deserve a bigger audience. So I'll grow an audience first, and then the people that I love that I want the world to know about, I'll start bringing on. And you being one of those guys, so you're part of my secret plan, TJ. So
Wow.
so if there are people
Well,
going,
thank
who's
you.
that? Well, there's people that are like, hey, who's that? Well, you're going to freaking learn right now because I've said this. I've also had the same conversation with Tornado, who's another guy I had on, was like, some of the best professional wrestlers on the entire planet are people that aren't on TV, people that you haven't maybe heard of, and for whatever reason that they're not on television for a quote unquote mainstream audience, but they're still wrestling at a very high level. They're still super creative. They're still super awesome. It's just maybe the world doesn't know about them, but that doesn't belittle or diminish their talent in any way. It just means that they're not there for a mainstream audience. And I my my prep for this, TJ, was me literally putting 5 bullet notes on a piece of paper. I don't know if I'll hit them, but a couple things that I have were things like a WWE tryout experience, your TNA journey, moving to Nashville, doing that whole thing, your switch in characters and experimenting with different things, making ninja movies when you're a kid. There's a whole, I mean, those are just some bullet points that I don't know if we'll hit them, but I mean, you've led a very interesting life, both in wrestling business and outside the wrestling business. So you're the quintessential perfect guest for a show called Wrestling is Life is Wrestling. And I love you, and you're my friend, and you're super smart, and you think about things about how wrestling connects to life. So again, perfect person for the show. So there, I normally put my guests over for 5 minutes in the intro, but I'm putting you over in front of you because you're my friend. But I think I want to start differently with you than I've started with different people, in the sense that, and we talked a little bit about this at the beginning before we started rolling, kind of how we maybe want to tackle this conversation. I think I'm just going to start with a question and then we'll see where we go. And I know that there's different parts of your journey and your story that have some really cool lessons in them because you're a thoughtful guy and you've thought about this before we started recording. But I'm going to start with this question and then we'll see where it goes. In your opinion, is the title of my podcast true? Is wrestling life and is life wrestling? Is that even a true statement?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for us who are kind of living it and are in the midst of it. It's amazing how much it's become a tool in my own life in
Mm.
understanding, and like it's interesting. Like a lot of people go to college for group psychology, and we learn it like at hand. Like it's like we're expressing it we're a part of it, and then we're creating moments that as a group is being enjoyed or hated or whatever it is we're trying to convey. And then at certain points during that conveyance, it changes because the crowd has a different feeling, or the group of people feels about this moment maybe not what I had expected or my opponents and I had expected, and it creates something totally different and unexpected that a lot of times it is something awesome. And I found that in my work life specifically, adapting people's moments and recognizing where a group of people are at. Specifically for me as a leader and a manager of a work team, recognizing how they're feeling and being able to adapt to it and change that, and use the skills that I had from pro wrestling. As an example recently was at Christmas time. I was working in Cranbrook, British Columbia. It's very cold there, -30. We have a poor warehouse facility there, so the team there is disheveled. They're not feeling great. They're cold every day. They're miserable every day. Plus, the over encompassing of freight during the Christmas season is heavy in this region. So the team is struggling, and I show up there, and the management's like, they're without asking me, they're like, "Can you be a babyface?"
Yeah.
And I recognize it right away, and I'm like, "Yeah, I will." I show up. I'm the first one there every morning. I'm in a good mood about things. I express positivity to the day and to what our challenges are. And when other people are challenged or upset, I jump into it with them, take it on with them, put it on my shoulders to recognize and understand how to solve that, and then try to transfer that solution to a person who's going to use that and hopefully have a good day because of it. And I found quite a bit of success in that, in just being a people person, and recognizing, what we use in the ring to share these moments can be used in a lot of different facilities in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. So, what do you remember the first time that kind of clicked for you when you were kind of like, oh, wait, this scenario in my life situation is just like this match or this psychology that I learned through this independent wrestling. So I'm just going to apply that right now. Was there a first for you, or is that kind of just like a slow progression? Because the way you just described that was fascinating, and I think is going to fascinate a lot of people, because you're taking your wrestler brain and going, oh, I've got to be a baby face here at work. And you literally take all these lessons you learned in a wrestling ring and you apply it to a work situation, and it works. And everybody's better because of it, because you decided to be a baby face. Was there like a light bulb moment, as we often say in wrestling?
It was pointed out to me right away by another brilliant mind in pro wrestling, Marco Malachias, who
Nice.
I lived with and actually had my first match with.
That was a name I wasn't expecting, and I don't know why. It's just making me smile right now that you just brought up Marco. So yes,
makes me smile too. A wonderful guy and a fantastic worker. I had my very first match with him.
Yeah.
But upon living at the Wrestler House with Romeo Adams, with Suicide Carlos Ortega, or Super K, and Eric Young, and other different characters at different times, Marco Malachias was part of that. He was Chico Rodriguez at the time, and he had worked as a service advisor at a Sears Auto Center. And
yes,
he had actually hooked me up with a job there. And upon taking the job there, more or less, like I had the interview with him and another member of that team. And after the interview was more important, he came and talked to me and just said, this is a lot like wrestling. When you're talking to people, when you're communicating to people, it's a lot like what we like. He knew it bang on. And for a guy that didn't have direct pro wrestling, it's kind of hard to explain him, but his pro wrestling knowledge was kind of off to the side of the line of where everyone else is in pro wrestling. It was on point and amazing, but it just wasn't in the same direction as everybody.
To give people context, to give people context of that, this is going to explain to the person who has no idea who Marco Malachias is. We're literally sitting in a living room watching an Undertaker match, and Marco comes into the ring and goes, "Hey, that guy's got a cool outfit. Who is that?" And he's a professional wrestler who didn't know who the Undertaker was. And he also said, "Hey, I want to do that move where I like pick you up and like you're upside down, but then you land on your back. Let me do that one." And it's like, "You mean like a suplex?" Yeah, that one. So that gives you insight on his wrestler brain was different, but he was so awesome and was on this other level. But like, yeah, he operated on a different level with his wrestling knowledge. So that's actually fascinating that he was the one that made that connection and brought that up to you.
I very specifically remember the occasion where he was and he's Portuguese, but he speaks very good English. His family's Portuguese and doesn't speak English, but he speaks very good English. Grew up in Canada, and he was dealing with somebody of another various descent of some sort, and they were very adamant. But either one of us could understand a dang word. So I'll do the translation of kind of what we heard. Speaking very fast and upset.
Yep.
And then a nice little pause. And like, okay, so she's looking for a word. Like, there's a key word in there that she knows in English that's going to turn the crank that she's trying to turn. And like understanding that and recognizing really the most important thing. So, as a baby face or as a heel, what's the most important thing about this story that I'm trying to get over? My left knee is hurt, and I don't want the heel to know that. If that's the story I'm telling, for this lady, it was the word warranty. She wanted to get it over, make sure that it was over with Marco, and him repeating that story to me. But for me, I took from it, okay, I need to, no matter what the barriers are, language, rage, otherwise, anger, because people at an auto center, they're not happy to be there. Their car, which they treasure, a lot of people do immensely, is broken, and it's going to cost money, more money than they want to pay to fix it. So it was our job to tell them in the gentlest way possible that you have to spend money on something you don't want to spend money on, and it's not covered under warranty. So in those occasions, finding that certain point of what it was, what that moment is, and then concentrating on that and trying my best as really a salesperson at the end of the day to make sure the person understands, what it is that needs to be done and why. I always prided myself in, there's a lot of negativity in automotive repair and stuff, and I always prided myself in recognizing what it was the mechanic was trying to convey as well, because there's another side to that. Not only does the customer not understand what the mechanic's saying, but I'm in the middle, and the mechanic's also saying something that he's trying to get over, what he's trying to sell. At the end of the day, it's better for him if he does a whole brake job, but does the customer need an entire brake job? So again, it's a balance between, what the need is and what the want is, and what I believe the best thing for this person is at the end of the day, and trying to present that to them in a fair way possible, that they'll, get out of this situation in the best situation possible with their items repaired or whatever it may be.
It's interesting. You just made me think about that exact scenario that you're explaining. Reminds me of so many situations I've been in, mainly more so on an independent wrestling level, where you've got the promoter who is, in this scenario, maybe the mechanic, and has this idea that they want to get over. And then you've got the customer who's the audience. And then you as the wrestler, you're the middleman, and you realize, okay, I know what the promoter wants, but these customers aren't going to get it if I present it in the same way that this promoter wants it to be presented. So it's not, sometimes when I've butted heads with the promoter, it's not like, oh no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't work for me, brother, because I look weak. It's no, what you're trying to, I understand what you're trying to sell, but if you put the coat of paint you want on that product to sell, they are not going to buy it. That is not who the audience is here. Let's work together and figure out, as in the middle, how am I going to convey this to my customer and in an appropriate way that's going to make them continue to come back and go, I'll come back to this show, or I'll come back and get my car fixed by this mechanic, because now I feel like I'm part of the transaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, and like from a reality standpoint of being a pro wrestler and having a job is also like a crazy balance. And some that, some have to make a choice at a certain point, and that's an uncomfortable place to be. Do I want to keep making really good money at whatever yada yada job that's shift work, and the shift breaks into weekends every 3 weeks, so I have to, I'm not going to make these events. Is that the right job for me? And I felt very lucky that a service advisor position in the front counter of an auto center is a transferable job that you could do almost anywhere in the country. So that was a really big thing for me. And you make a decent dollar value as well at it. But the most importantly is weekends for the most part are off. You're balancing the odd Friday show with your travel and such, but Saturdays generally are off. And to make shows and to make events and stuff, that was very rarely was it a difficulty. And as I've grown as a professional over the years, that's been a challenge throughout. As somebody who's hasn't been in the position to make money at a high level to be able to support myself through pro wrestling, except for my short stint there in Tennessee, which is arguable. I think like there's a balance in there that's super important. And I think for young people getting into the business that want to learn, being upfront and straight up with your employer, this is what I do on the weekend. And oftentimes they want to be a part of it, or they're interested in it enough to like want to know more. Maybe they'll show up to your events and support you, buy your t-shirts, buy your merch, all those types of things. Those are all good things if you're upfront about it. But if you try to hide it and, I'm doing this thing, whatever, even if you're ashamed of it, that's not a good position to be in. Your employer needs to understand what you're doing, and they'll oftentimes support you in it, especially if you're a good employee. And being a worker, a pro wrestling entertainer, often makes you a good employee because you recognize problems, you solve them quickly. I just hooked another pro wrestler, name drop Haviko, out of the West Coast here, and I brought him with me on a work trip because I knew we needed somebody that could just think and be on the spot and learn things really quick. And I knew as a pro wrestler, he had those tools already, so I confidently put him in a role. And he's there right now, kicking ass, getting stuff done because it needs to be. And I just felt it was really interesting how very confident I was. And obviously it's him and his ability as a person too, but also because of our history as pro wrestlers that I could trust and put that faith in him that he's gonna get done to the best of his ability what needs to be done.
Yeah. Were you taught in wrestling school like how to work on the fly? Because I feel like that's kind of like a lost art right now in wrestling. And then because it's so transferable to life, what you're saying, because I'm noticing in real life that and I work with a lot of young people, is they can't adapt to what's going on in front of them. They can't look at a problem and solve it. They don't have these problem solving skills. And I've never even thought of this before until right now. I'm just speaking out loud. Like, also the younger generation of wrestlers, there's sometimes run into this issue where it's like, this match is going to be A, B, C, D. And then they get out there and all of a sudden A isn't working. And they're like, well, I'm going to continue on to B. And you're going, no, man, you got to jump to F and circle back around to B, or forget B altogether. But I wasn't actually trained to work on the fly, but I kind of just got thrown into that scenario because in the early 2000s, there's a lot of guys doing that. So I kind of learned that on the job. What did you learn in wrestling school how to work on the fly, or did that come over time?
Not as much. I mean, the fundamentals was the main focus at that point, and then I got injured at the end of pro wrestling school, so my pro wrestling tutelage, as far as learning in a classroom type of atmosphere, ended pretty abruptly. And then I had about a 6 to 8 month period where I wasn't doing much of anything, and then stepped into pro wrestling at my very infancy. At about that point, I think. Sorry, what were?
I said, like, did you learn to work on the fly at wrestling?
Work on the fly.
Yeah.
It was Tennessee.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and when I got there, I had certain tools in my tool belt, and I think I could work on the fly to a certain extent, but I was still within a bit of a cage of that. And I think working in Tennessee and how laid back everyone is about pro wrestling was a huge wake up call for me. And the talent there varies immensely, but even if like the physicality of someone not looking like a pro wrestler isn't there, almost everybody has the mindset for it and can work themselves all day, all night, brilliantly. So that was something that going there and being a part of it, and even working on the very smallest of small shows, but with somebody who, oh man, let's not plan anything. Let's just work Broadway tonight. Like, just to me at that point in my career, I was like, what? What does that even mean to me? Like, okay, let's go. And that comfort, even like, especially in front of smaller crowds where it doesn't, not to say that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't feel like you're indebted as much if you make a mistake, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
When and Tennessee crowds, for you'd understand this as well, are extremely forgiving. And if you did take a wrong turn somewhere, they will pick up the pieces for you and carry it on if you're not capable of doing so. And a chant will start to build up around you that maybe you didn't plan, because they understand pro wrestling so much and so well that they know where the next step is supposed to be, even if the professional doesn't.
Yeah, I think there's something to, and one thing I've just learned this kind of as I'm getting older, how important it is to be present, like, period. no matter what your scenario is, whether that's with your kids, whether that's with a customer, like no matter what it is. And I don't think I fully understood wrestling or got even really good at it until I could do the same thing in the ring. I could be present, so I could use my ears. And because before, early on, I know that it was for me, and I remember wrestling you early on, and we had a triple threat match, and it was one of my favorite matches. I think you traveled like an hour and a half out of your way to get the VHS from me. It was a fun story, which maybe we can tell. Maybe we can do this for our Patreon listeners, or we can just do it right now, where we knocked over an old lady, and it was amazing and hilarious. But we'll take a sidebar there in a minute. But I want to stay on track. At that point, I didn't have ears, in the sense that I'm just tunnel visioned. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the moves we're going to do. We got these really cool moves that we want to plan, and we think they're going to work and get a reaction. So we're just doing them. And then we're not even listening to the crowd. We're not even present. So if there was a chant that pops up, like you just said, it didn't affect anything we were going to do, because we're not even present. We have this thing that we're going to accomplish that we think the customer's going to like, and then they didn't. And I remember, and I didn't even click for me at the moment, but when I went back and watched that match, we're doing all this stuff, one including knocking over an old lady. But there was a point in the middle of the match where we're doing all this insanity to silence, and you yell out, "Pop for that!" Like you were you're so mad and frustrated, not understanding, why aren't you popping for this? We're doing all these cool things, and why isn't there a reaction?
I think this is cool.
Yeah, it's exactly. We think this is cool, but it sucked. But like, we thought it was the best thing ever, and we want to watch it back on VHS. But like, it was not what the customer wanted. We were not present. We're just doing stuff. And man, we could have based an entire match around knocking over an old lady. It was a completely missed opportunity on our part. Oh man, yeah. So people are gonna go, "What are you talking about, this old lady?" We have to tell the story.
Definitely.
Do you want to tell it from your perspective, and then I can jump in, because you're the guest?
Yeah.
I don't want to take it all. Like,
sure. I mean, to leave it off, like, we had way too much planned, and one of the things that you were doing at the time was, as a heel, you would ask the fans for a chair in the crowd. Give me a chair. I need a chair. And you'd be looking around, and it was, people would hand you a chair, but then you would ignore them and like yell at other people to hand you a chair until no one's handing you a chair. And then, fine, I'll get my own chair. And then sit the chair down and do it.
That was over. That was over to me. It's a good
yeah. I mean, it's get them involved. I mean, they're looking, and then you're ignoring them immediately, which pisses people off.
Exactly.
Set your chair down. Tornado DDT on the floor, I think, was your thing at the time.
Oh yeah, I'm going to do a tornado DDT on the floor for no reason other than
in the middle of our match. I remember, I very much recall, because I'm thinking about it as a young man. I was like, well, I don't want to knock anybody over. Like, this is a pretty, like, a flip and a roll. So I remember checking on my rear right side, and watching the footage. Like, I can see, like, I check. There's nobody there, and she walks into frame, this beautiful old lady who's got a water from the concession stand. And just as you turn and twist me with the tornado DDT, I flip, and my legs just hit her right in the hips. She falls over, hot shots onto a chair, lands on the chair, and I recall, like, immediately just like popping up and like looking at her like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And she goes, "Oh, my hip," which is not what you want to hear. She's like, "My hip." And then you, being the consummate heel that you are, grabbed me, and I believe the words that came out of your mouth was, "Don't worry about that old bag." And you grabbed me by the hair. And she looks up at me with these innocent eyes, and she says to me the words that I will never forget as long as I live. "Look out behind you." Because, bless her heart, she was more worried about me being hurt by this vicious heel than herself, who had just taken a hot shot into a chair unexpectedly during our match. Oh my goodness, was the promoter mad? He was extremely upset. I didn't think we'd ever get booked again. Luckily, she was okay, and we spoke to her afterwards, and she was, was fine about what had happened, and thank goodness, because Yeah, as a
Oh
young
my
man,
God.
that's just literally the worst thing that could have possibly happened.
I'm crying. It was so like, it was this giant, it was a hockey arena, and there's maybe like 100, 200 people. So there's all this open space. And we decide to, we'll do the safe thing and do it in this big open area. So when I do it, and just so happens right at that time, like you said, innocent old lady just starts walking. You couldn't have timed it, couldn't have planned this any better or worse, whatever your perspective. And she immediately just walks right into TJ. Oh my God, taking this DDT. Oh my God, I'm crying. I haven't thought about that in a long time, and it brings a tear to my eye, and for all the right reasons. Oh, wrestling's the best. But like now, if that would have happened to me now, like first of all, I mean, I wouldn't be doing Antonio DDT in the crowd. I wouldn't do anything physical like that in the crowd to begin with. However, if for some reason we were stupid enough and that happened, okay, that's now the match. Like this match is now centering around this old lady, and now you as the baby face are going to try to see she's okay, protect her. I'm still going to probably say, don't worry about the old bag, but then you're going to beat me up for it. And then we're going to use her and involve it. And like, we would do something drastically different than what we did. Right. But we were so tunnel visioned with this thing that we think is going to work. And we have no idea how to work on the fly or to be present.
Right? We continued on to the next spot.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta go do my twisty, stupid thing I've never done before.
Did a headstand thing and then another.
Yes, the headstand on the apron, which I've never done, but I'm gonna do now, and all this stuff. Like, oh my God. Whew. I don't even know where to go from the old
classic Romeo Adams was doing commentary because he's holding the camera. And it all ends quietly, and like the crowd's quiet and everything's quiet, and then all of a sudden the camera starts to vibrate because he's holding it and laughing. Whoa! Can't believe you guys hit that lady!
Oh my God. I still got that on a VHS somewhere in my garage. I gotta go watch that just to watch Good at Times. So now one thing that I have as a bullet point, maybe we go from here. The next phase of this next idea that I'm thinking of is part of getting good as a professional wrestler isn't just being present and being able to work on the fly, these things that we're talking about here, these skills. But in my opinion, one big thing is also looking the part and being in shape. You and I had a similar journey at the beginning of our wrestling career. We wore big, shiny PVC pants because those were big at this time. But then we also both wore T-shirts to just hide our negatives. You know, you were chubby. I was super skinny. So we can just, we'll just hide it by wearing a shirt. But both of us at some point in our careers decided, no, we got to change that about ourselves. And now let's get in shape and let's do this. What was it for you that clicked to decide that's something you had to do, and what was that workout experience journey for you, both in your wrestling and in your life?
Living in the wrestler house was huge, and seeing Eric Young's journey and where he was at and how he had excelled so quickly to the top of independent pro wrestling in Ontario. And I modeled much of what I was trying to do after his successes. And I honestly, I marked it as a success if I was to accomplish something that he had done well during his time in Ontario Independent, like being the grand champion at Neo Spirit, or being like a champion, anywhere, having a match, at a top level with somebody like Danger Boy Derek Wilde at the time, who both of those guys were excelling and just killing it, knocking out of the park. For my beginning part at Neo Spirit, I was, the silly character. I was part of Team Tornado with Tornado. I actually did the previous to that. I was El Gato Loco because they needed a cat. Yeah. So I came out and did the cat scenario and had a lot of fun doing it. And I think that for Jesse just showed him that I was willing to dip into anything and try and do anything and do it well. So he gave me the opportunity to be TJ Harley. And to do the kind of the sleazy moniker that we were doing at the time, but living at the Wrestler House and being a part of and seeing the successes that my cohorts were getting and how hard they were working in the gym and juggling the regular job that they hated and and still getting it done at that stage as a young man. It just seemed like it was a missing puzzle piece that I needed. If I wanted this the way that my friends were succeeding, then I needed to take these next steps and to commit myself to what that needed to be for me. And everybody's journey is slightly different. How they work out, how they gain their successes. No one's is exactly the same. And for me, it took even till now, I'm still learning. At this age now, I think I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. And it's not thanks to any specific, oh, this is the product that needs to, or this is it's mindset. It's 100% mindset, training my mind. And for me anyway, at least most recently, because I'm a nerd and I'm kind of weird and I'm a hippie about weird shit. Is like manifestation has become kind of a thing for me. Speaking stuff out loud holds yourself to account, and accountability is huge. And for me, when I say it out loud, I'm going to be this, I'm going to accomplish this. That means I'm going to go run hill sprints now because I said it out loud. Whereas before, if I didn't say it out loud, for me anyway, I have an excuse to not. And I don't want excuses. And I try my best to live my life to get as many of those excuses out of my face, because I know my way of working is I'll take that excuse. If there's a candy bar in this house right now, I will eat it because it's my excuse is within arm's reach. So for me, I put those things out of my vision, out of my focus, and my focus is the story in my life, whatever I'm trying to work towards, which currently is good Thelonious. At different points, it was different things.
Yeah, I think, man, that's fascinating. Every time you say something, TJ, it's bringing like an idea to my head that I've never talked about on the show, or like this. That's exactly what the show's about: is wrestling is life is wrestling. So everything you just said, it made me think that there's a rule that I learned early in wrestling as a babyface, that don't say something in a promo out loud and promise it if you're not going to do it. Because a babyface backs up what they say. So it's a cardinal sin to like, I'm going to rip your head off and spit down your throat and I'm going to destroy it. It's like, no, you're not. You can't do that. Don't promise something that you can't do. And then I was able to really click as a babyface, where I'm like, oh, my promo can literally be all the stuff that I'm going to do in my match that I have planned. I'll just say it out loud beforehand, and then I'll do all the stuff that I claimed I was going to do, because that's what
Hollywood's great at it.
That's what a babyface does. You just say what you're going to do, and then you do it. That's what a babyface does. So, just as in life, I think there's a connection there to that manifestation. That like, hey, if you say this out loud, you better do it, and it can help you stay on track, I guess, by saying it loud. I also am a spiritual person, so it's also like there is something about the words have power. So not just to help with your mindset mentally, but I think also spiritually, to like say something out loud kind of keeps you spiritually on track and in tune as well. But yeah, man, I've talked about this idea of manifestation a lot on the show with various guests. That interesting. They didn't even realize it till they were like, oh, I wrote in my journal this thing that I wanted to accomplish when I was 10, and it came true. Weird. It's like, well, no, it's not weird. If you say that out loud and write it enough times and think enough times, you know what? Those things can happen. There's something to that.
I agree. And like, I get a lot of, it's strange that you wouldn't think, but Bugs Bunny, and like a lot comes from Bugs Bunny. And I specifically remember the song Abracadabra, and he's turning into a bat, he's turning into an umpire, all that silliness. But he was singing a song about abracadabra, and abracadabra functionally means if I speak it, I create it. It's like,
I didn't know that.
So like, so they like entertainment and stuff will give us these little clues as to how to, I think anyway, how to be better, how to accomplish what they being the people have accomplished. If you're the person who created Bugs Bunny, you're already there. So if you know this trick of abracadabra, and maybe it's not the trick, maybe there's something else to it, but if you think it is, why wouldn't you share it with people, in between the lines of your overall product? And for Thelonious, my character ship that I'm currently involved in from the fifth dimension with his twisty mustache and his handy mittens, a lot of what I'm trying to do there is just speak to people on a different wavelength and give them something different that they can take and either digest fully every bit of it and be like, this is this means that, this is interesting, that, or on face level, this is a silly guy without knee pads. Why isn't he wearing knee pads? Which, by the way, you should wear knee pads.
Big mistake.
At this age, I've wrestled 20 years or whatever, and like I've never worn, like I never had problems with my knees, and I was like, you know what? It looks awkward if I don't wear knee pads. I'm gonna go with that look for a little while.
Right.
I just recently bought knee braces. Knee pads are needed. I'm switching my look back just because of safety reasons.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
As much as my aesthetics is pleasing to, yeah.
So that's going to do it for another episode of Wrestling is Life is Wrestling. Until next time, guys, please visit our sponsors, Rest When Dead Clothing at restwhendead.ca, as well as ceofit.ca for all your fitness and fitness supplement needs. Don't forget to take a screenshot of today's episode and tag me at Cody Deaner. If you want to learn how to book me on your wrestling show or your speaking event, you can go to codydeaner.com or learn about my speaking career at chrisgrayspeaks.com. Until next time, guys, don't forget that wrestling is life, is wrestling. We'll see you next time, guys.
Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life, is wrestling.